everyone. This is Bree Wingate. I didn't introduce you. This is our new girl. She's gonna be joining us, when she can make it. But Jay, you can piggyback off of her, or if you want me to go to the next question, or all right. So my next question was, what recreational activities and sports programs can be introduced or engaged to empower our youth?
Um, am I on now? Yeah. Thank you. Um, I don't think there's any, particular sport or activity that, we can use to engage the youth. I believe that we have to meet them where they are. Kids have different interests, neighborhoods have different interests. Like, I think I said last time, some kids are, afforded the luxury of having, green spaces and things of that nature in their neighborhoods, whereas, kids from other neighborhoods don't have that luxury. So we definitely have to do our, due diligence in terms of, pinpointing, individuals, groups of individuals, and see what their likes are.
And with the sports, I feel like a lot of parents can't pay for the sports. So again, when it comes to us or trying to empower everything, I feel like we need to figure out how we could get some grants or something like that. Because again, I didn't really pay for sports growing up. Like it was always money around, always activities for us and stuff like that. So now that all these AAU programs and all these other sports, they're kind of really expensive. So number one is trying to get some funds for the kids. You got anything to say? Or next question.
No, to answer that, it depends on the sport. Football, baseball tends to be a little bit more expensive. Basketball less expensive. But I definitely think we can, partner with, community business leaders, small business owners, to especially basketball, because really don't, a ball and sneakers, and I think that's a doable thing in terms of, getting the equipment that, young men and women need to, have, extracurricular activities.
So that's leading into the next question. So my next question was, how can a community collaborate with local schools, organizations to provide additional resources? Um, do you guys feel like a lot of like schools and everything are they? I feel like a lot of schools don't try to help. They so focused on their education to where it's like, all right, can we get some money?
I don't know. I feel like that's twofold. I feel like the schools may feel like it's their job to educate and that they overstep a lot of times as teachers or as educators in that space to do more because a lot of kids don't have a lot. Um, I think that there are a lot of boundaries that teachers can't cross just based off of contract, based off of like what they can and cannot do. Um, so I think it's more so a space where they're doing all that they can. We have to do a better job. Like people, parents, community have to do a better job of collaboration. Like a lot of people want things, but they don't want to do the work to have things. So yes, you need to know your child's teacher. You know how many people don't know their child's teacher? Don't know what they do on the day-to-day basis. They only know what their children are doing based off of messages that they're getting 9 times out of 10 when their child is misbehaving for help. A lot of people don't see that and they don't do what needs to be done to build those relationships.
I definitely agree. Schools are, one way to engage children. Um, but we also have to, like I said, meet children where they are. We have to engage parents, faith groups, churches, mosques, and I think that because obviously schools play a big role, but um, I think that especially during the summertime, when kids are out of school, I think that it's just as important to engage with parents, and as far as what we plan to do and what we our ambitions, we have to find ways to engage kids directly.
Right.
Do you think a lot of people create safe spaces for the children? Because a lot of kids don't feel safe nowadays, so that's why they go to other people for love.
I think it's a mixture because you have those stories of those teachers or those educators who keep kids in a room. Like I remember two distinct teachers where I can say that I always had a safe space, and then I mean I would leave one class to go to another class So I know that there are educators who do that. Shout out to Miss Story Carson. But I know that there are teachers who do that. But I also know that certain people don't. I think it's like a case by case basis because every child is different. I was comfortable with her. She was another black woman. She was a music teacher. So I identified with music. That was a safe space for me. So I found myself there. And then she worked on character development. She was real. She didn't just talk to me about music. She talked to me about life, about being a black woman, about being a black woman of affluence, about being more than what I came from. And some again, back to really the basis of this is that because she was from around here, because she had taught around here, she understood and could reflect what my struggles would be in these communities. So I did connect with her. We did have a safe space in that. But there were other teachers who had no idea what that was like. You driving from Branford every day. You don't see what I see. You don't go home to what I go home to. And it is harder to connect. So I think there are those cases where teachers are able to when they understand, or where community people are able to when they understand. But there's also that space of, is this my role? Is this my job? People have to
Right.
learn to own that
Right.
responsibility of, this is my community, these are my kids, even if they're not my kids. I don't have children.
Mm-hmm.
But when we, let's be real, when we were out and we were eating and we seen that young man, your heart went out to him.
Yeah.
You you genuinely had felt a responsibility to say something, to pull him back in. And not only you, there were other people there who felt the same need. The more that people do that, and the more that people stand up and say, I don't care that I'm not your mom. I don't care that I'm not your aunt. I don't care that I'm not related. I see something wrong or I see a need in you. I'm going to fulfill that. That's when we start to build those spaces.
And when you talk about overstepping roles, a lot of people get in trouble for overstepping their roles with a lot of kids because now it's so weird out here that now you're a pedophile or you're getting too close to this young child. But really, in all reality, I'm the only one this child trusts or feel like I'm a safe space for them. Um, do you feel like um, a lot of people do overstep their boundaries, or sometimes they do have relations with the kids?
Mm-hmm.
So how you feel about that when they start talking about that?
I feel like that's why parent contact is so important. I feel like if you are going to take the responsibility of pouring into a child, creating a relationship with their parent is just as important as creating a safe space for them, whether it be toxic or not. Because creating a relationship with the parent is as small as, hey, I'm taking this one for such and such and such. And if their parent is absent already, they probably okay with them not even being there, just knowing that they not somewhere doing something wrong. And if their parent is active, they're gonna appreciate the fact that you even went above and beyond to say, hey, is it okay if? Do you mind if? We're doing blah 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 blah. And I was a lead counselor for a lot of years, so I think that's just instilled in me. Like, if I'm gonna do something with your child, you should know. You should be aware because you know your child better than me in some aspects. I may know your child in this space more because they feel more comfortable sharing this. But if it's really a village, like you say it is, then we have to be okay with having those relationships and having those conversations, and sometimes being uncomfortable in that.
Yeah. To echo what you were saying as far as being uncomfortable in that space as parents and as educators, we also have to remember that sometimes when parents haven't had the best experience in schools themselves, so this kind of skews their how could I say, their expectations and things of that nature when interacting with teachers. Sometimes parents come in, generally when a child is misbehaving, they're called to the school, and when the parents arrive, they're coming in with their baggage, to for lack of a better term, with their experience in school, which sometimes may not have been the best. And so the discussions, the interactions with teachers, sometimes well-meaning teachers, sometimes teachers that's not so well-meaning, is starts off sometimes kind of confrontational. So it's always best when educators come from where we come from, look like us,
Yeah.
because I believe a lot difficult. It's extremely more difficult for someone who doesn't look like us, from not from the community, to we can see they can obviously I believe sees value in the student, but they can't relate on so many levels. There's all kind of stigma just associated with being black sometimes, especially when black boys get to a certain age. A lot of the teachers are young white women that's coming in from the suburbs, and all of the time when they see our young boys, they don't always see them just as students. That sometimes they're perceived as being older than they are, or you know how could I say more dangerous than they actually really are. So we always have to keep that in mind when engaging and interacting with educators, especially educators that don't come from our neighborhoods and our socioeconomic circumstances.
So always it starts at home. Always. So what are we going to try to help the parents that didn't have the platform or really don't know how to be parents? Because nowadays a lot of kids are raising themselves, the streets, gangs. So what do you feel like as parents? Like what do they need to change up a little bit now coming in having this generation? Because this generation is off the chain. Everybody knows that. So for the next generation, because now we are going to now create it, what are some first steps that you think that we should take in the sense of trying to get to the parents?
I think there's many ways that you can go about that, but number one is community. Like you have to build that. You have to have the conversations. When Jay was speaking about the tension or the pushback, it's gonna be that, and you have to be okay with the fact that it's going to be that at first. You're gonna get a lot of doors closed in your face. You're gonna get a lot of angry parents saying that they don't want to hear you. You're gonna have a lot of kids saying that they don't need it, but you still do it. You get them one by one, and you make an example out of the kids who are ready or the parents who are ready to do that, and then they be the face. They be the example of this actually works. I'll give you an example. I'm doing a plus size prom drive right now, and when I tell you we shared this, we moved this, we pushed it until we couldn't push it anymore. And I think I have opened it for 6 girls. Everything is free. We have sponsors. You're not paying for anything. And maybe 3 girls signed up. And one girl actually, it was so surreal to me for real, because she texted me and she was like, "Hey, why do you want to help us?" And I was shook. Like, my first reaction was like, "What do you mean? Why I want to?" Because I can. But then I had to, use grace. And this is a teenager who was asking me a question where I had to just tell her, "Hey, I'm from here. I grew up here, and I know how important it is to build community, and I just want to help." And her response was, "Thank you. I really appreciate it, but my mom can afford it." Now, this is the thing. Our community thinks about instant, instant gratification. What's going on right now? Because guess what? Your mom can't afford prom, but you'll be in college in less than 6 months after that. So if your mom can be relieved of the fee of prom and put those monies toward your books, towards your room and board if you're going to college, because a lot of grants don't cover that. Like a lot of scholarships don't cover room and board. Especially if you're going to a private college, because I did, and it surely didn't cover that. And they don't pay for your books unless you are under a certain income. And if your mom can afford prom, she probably is over a certain income. To let somebody help you, to think past where you are right now and push forward, because your mom can afford prom, but will she be able to afford books around Christmas? When it's time to re-up and hear me, re-up. When it's time to go back to, for your second semester, and you got to get those books again, that's January, right after Christmas. This is new. If you're a first generation college student, this is new to your parent just as much as it's new to you. So the space of creating that, having that conversation, because in that moment I just let her, thank you, tell your friends about it, blah, 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 because she wasn't ready for that conversation. But we need to have them. Because yes, you might have the money for it now, and it's not about you not having money. It's about big picture. It's about let's look past right now and see what you'll need in 6 months and see what you'll need in a year, and allow the community to help you with that.
When you talked about her mother got it, why y'all kids feel like that? Like, these parents work hard. They talk about our mother got it. Like, girl, you better get this free prom dress and free hair, makeup. Like, what's wrong with y'all?
Right. And it's new. Like everything is new. We're not raising like for people to give dresses. Like, no, Miss Summit USA, she has sponsors that are going to sponsor you getting a new dress, new shoes, new. I got a girl who's doing hair. I got another girl who's giving you, and black too. That's what I love. Black women are like literally pouring into these girls. You have pageant queens willing to sponsor you and do these things, and you haven't taken a, how do you say it? You haven't taken the opportunity, no, to take what is given, because this is a relationship too. Because now you'll be able to say, hey, for my prom of my senior year, a pageant queen sponsored me. She's coming here March 23rd to meet whoever is ready. Yeah, like we're building a community around this to tell you you are beautiful, you are great, you're going to be exactly who you think you're going to be. But because you couldn't look past that instant gratification of, oh, my mom got it. And I don't think she came from a prideful place. It was more so let somebody else who needs it get it. And it's like, sweetheart, this is more than a dress. You may need the relationship. You may have needed just to meet the girl who is gonna do your hair for a mentor. You never know. And a lot of times I think we forget as a community that opportunities sometimes don't come twice. You think because so many things are happening so quickly that, oh, it'll come again, or I don't need it, or it's not for me. It's like a sense of pride where, look, you might never get that chance again. That girl from DC, she willing to come to Connecticut to pour into y'all at this particular moment. And great, great woman, super great. And other people who are willing to just sponsor and be a part, just to be in the room and pour into these young girls. A lot of them will miss the opportunity because whatever. I can't speak for the kids, but they will because they didn't take advantage. It was another girl who was like, oh God, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for da da da. And then that opens the door for, what's your mom's number? What's your this, what's your that, blah, blah. So I can put her on and she can understand what's going on because she doesn't know me. But it was like that twofold. And we have to be cognitive of that too.
If y'all need help with your prom, holla at me on my status. How many more girls you need?
So I need really 4. I got 2. I need 4 more girls.
We need 4 more girls if you need it. Don't be just coming up here.
Even
just,
if you don't, though.
We need somebody who is in need
Plus
too.
size.
Plus size now. Shout out to the plus size.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go to the next question. So, let's see, because I want to jump around here a little bit. I'm going to go to this one. It's going to, what events and programs can be implemented to encourage community involvement and civic engagement among the youth?
I I was kind of at a loss regarding this question, but Dip always talks about like talent shows and things of that nature. And the more I think about it, I think those are the type of things that gives young people the opportunity to come out and display their talent. And whatever their talent may be, whether it's music, whether it's singing or rapping or whatever it may be, it opens up a avenue for finding out what their interests are. And so we know that if a girl, she's into fashion, we know that fashion can be like a key to getting her to open up, talk to her, find out what her concerns and issues are and things of that nature. So I think that that's a very, very good idea, like talent shows and stuff like that.
And the fashion shows, that's me. Fashion shows definitely in the works. That's my next thing I want to do. Did you want to piggyback, or you want? I could go to the next
What's the
question.
question one more time?
Forgot. Oh, what events and programming can be implemented to encourage community involvement, engagement among the youth?
First of all, I love the talent show thing. I think that's funny, and these kids are hilarious. I feel like we got so many comedians in this generation. It's out this world. I think mentorship is a big thing. They're missing that, somebody who's gonna commit to showing up for you.
I agree 100%.
We can't show up for them, and they don't want to show up for themselves.
I think that the reason why they don't want to show up for themselves is because they've seen a generation of people before them not show up for themselves. You got to remember it. Look, I'm candid, real candid. A lot of us come from generations of grandparents or parents who was addicted to drugs, and they watched people not show up for themselves for so long. And that's not everybody's story, number one, but we're talking about community here, right? So why should I show up for myself when this one didn't show up for me and that one didn't show up for me? Or a lot of children's parents were incarcerated. They wasn't even here. They couldn't even be here. So I'm on my own. Don't nobody show up for me. I got to figure this out on my own. They don't get a chance to. So sometimes you gotta lead by the example. Like I said, it's not easy. These kids are tough. Like they not like how we was. Like they're not gonna take out like off the rip. Like, oh, I'm coming to you. Like I want to come to you. I want to talk to you. They're not doing that. But you gotta be tough enough to be like, well, I'm still gonna love you anyway. All right, you got attitude. So what? I still love you anyway. Okay, your mother got an attitude too. So what? I still love you anyway. I'm Christian, so I'm gonna love you with the love of God every time. And that is the space. Like you like, oh, they not showing up for themselves. Sometimes you got to show somebody how to show up for themselves, and that's by example. You showing up for you, and we gonna be honest. A lot of people in our generation, in our age group, we still figuring it out for ourselves because our parents was trying to figure it out for themselves, and we're missing that mark. I think that's the gap between the generations. To be honest, you had the generation before us that the economy was different. The way that things were able easily obtained was different. Rent for a one bedroom apartment was like $550. Like yo, for one bedroom apartment right now it's $1350. Like that's craziness, but that's what they were used to. So now you got the hustle that we need. You got the world is in a whole different disarray right now. And now these children, we're trying to figure it out so much so that the children are getting lost. So as we're figuring it out, we need to help them or show them by example what it's like to show up for themselves.
I want to. You said that at our last meeting, you said something that really was very profound, and I thought a lot about after the meeting. Is that you said that sometimes kids don't have. You didn't say show up for themselves. Like I forgot the term that you used, but it's very similar. You used examples of how sometimes young people are saddled with a bunch of responsibilities and burdens that's shouldn't necessarily be their responsibilities, like babysitting and just they don't really they've kind of been on the back burner, in your words. And the bigger priorities of the family, the household, kind of takes precedent. Mom making sure she getting to work to have the bill paid, to put clothes on their back and food in their stomachs, and that kind of trumps
Everything else.
everything else. So kids are automatically kind of socialized and ingrained to believe that, well, my needs come second. And while the family needs are a very high priority, we have to find ways to, in those circumstances, to let kids know that, yeah, these are your circumstances, and you feel like your concerns and your issues are not being put at the forefront of your parents and your community's concerns, but you still are you still have value, you still are worthy. And I think that's very, very important because when a child is stuck in that kind of role for so long, they get accustomed to it. And you don't want children growing up accustomed to thinking that that their concerns and priorities are secondary to someone else's, whether it be the families or the mothers. But this can translate to relationships, and it can translate to not just romantic relationships, but just platonic relationships, that my needs are always secondary, and I'm so used to it that I don't know how to articulate that. I get that, but these are my needs, and I need these concerns addressed. You know,
I was about to go off the top now.
Got it?
does that make sense?
No, it does, and I think that in general, like you said, that early understanding or misunderstanding that these things come before me does trickle over into relationships. I'll ask y'all a question. How many times have you seen a girl, a teenage girl, whose mother had multiple children, and it was her role to take care of those kids when the mother was at work, and before you know it, she got a kid before she even graduated high school?
Yeah.
Because kids are secondary to her. That's easy to her. That's natural to her because she's been doing it the whole time. And then the mom want to act like, oh, you did this and you did that. And it's like, bro, actually, you groomed her for that. And people don't want to say that because you don't want to overstep your boundary. But if you're going to be real and you're going to say what you see, like, why are you surprised? That's what you taught her to do. You taught her to come home from school and do her homework and get the kids and do this and start the food and do that. That's secondary to her. I ain't surprised. She going to probably get on some type of assistance because she'll definitely qualify for it. She's in high school. She's a kid still. don't have no income like that, you definitely gonna qualify for it, and then that cycle continues. So even with boys, oh, I'm helping my mom. My mom don't have. I'm jumping off the porch. I'm getting in the streets. I'm getting money the way I know to get money because we don't have nothing in this house. You put that responsibility on him, and then before you know it, he doing that for the next girl. So now he dealing with women who don't even really care about him, don't really know how to care for him because he just used to being a provider. I'm just give because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm out here with this one and that one, that one. Now you got 4 kids because you definitely laying up. You definitely doing this. You definitely doing that. It's like, yo, honestly, that cycle has to be broken. You have to have those conversations and be okay with willing to call that thing out to move forward.
As a man, Jay handsome, y'all ain't see Jay handsome. But as a man, like you're older, so coming up, like not to get in your family business, but was your father involved? So did that play a part on how you grew up, or you know?
It did. Fortunately, fortunately, me and my dad are really tight now, but unfortunately, when I was young, we weren't. Um, and I think that not having my dad around, in retrospect, caused me to, look for, father figures and, maybe places that I shouldn't have looked. But fortunately, during my early years, I was fortunate enough to, be in the company of some really, really good men who thankfully, took an interest in me and taught me how to be a man. And everyone is not that fortunate. Sometimes the children who are in most need of, positive male or female role models end up finding the worst male and female role models. I don't know why that happens, but it tends to happen. You see a kid who's in dire need of someone who can show him how to be a man or show her how to be a woman and show them that they care for them, but they end up finding the exact opposite. And that's why it is very important. But for me, I'm kind of like how I am today as a man has been informed by, like I said, meeting men who were gracious enough to take me under their wing. But like I'm getting the back end stuff now because my father's at an age where we can have those type of discussions, and I'm mature at this point in my life enough to see his side and to be sympathetic and empathetic with his shortcomings. um, but however slice the pie, it's crucial in a young person's development to have that type of what you said, like type of mentorship,
Um,
positive
do you
mentorship.
have any kids,
I have one
son?
son.
Oh, so you have a great relationship with him?
Oh man, I
Because
we
like not
yeah.
you. Sometime growing up without a dad or something like that, it either triggers the man to not want to be a father, or it triggers him to want to be a great father. So,
Yeah, it triggered me to want to. I early on, when his mom got pregnant, it was a huge weight on my shoulder to be like, oh, I gotta do this right. I can't be like, I love my dad, but I can't be like my dad in terms of raising my son. Um, and fortunately, that all of the things that I, was very intentional about in terms of being a good dad didn't go unnoticed by my son, and I think that's the reason why we're so close today. So,
that's cute. That's cute. Miss Bree, do you have any kids?
No, I do not
Oh, you
have
said that.
children.
You say you have no
Yeah, I
kids.
don't have
Oh,
any
so I can't even
children.
ask you that question. It's cool. I ain't got no kids, so I can't ask myself that either. But I have like spiritual children. How you feel about spiritual children?
I feel like that's a real thing. I feel like naturally certain people are drawn to you, and that's literally just another word for mentorship. You've taken the responsibility of exactly. You've taken the responsibility of mothering that child, and those are just as important as natural parents. Like I always say, I didn't have children young for multiple reasons, but I came from very young parents, and I realized that my mom was just a girl who had a kid. Like she was a baby when she had me, and she had to go through so many things. And I watch her as a grown adult learn herself backwards. Like she was 17 when she had me, and a fresh 17. So she was just trying to figure out life, who she was, what she was gonna be. And now I see her learning who she is and how she is and who she's gonna be. And I didn't want that for me. I wanted to be healed when I had children. I wanted to be whole when I had children. I wanted to be able to actually give them um, I wouldn't say a fighting chance because I had a fighting chance myself, but like just give them more than what I had, so that they didn't have to overcome certain things I did. Because I have great parents, love them to death, but I think spiritual children are as important because I'm sure I have many mentors growing up, and many women pour into me in a space of they might have looked at me like they're spiritual children, and I'm grateful for them because what I didn't get from my mom, I got from somewhere else, but it was still needed. And I think people have to be okay with their children having spiritual parents. Like, yeah, exactly, because a lot of parents don't like that. A lot of parents feel like it should come from me because I'm the mother or I'm the father or I'm this. And it's like, I'm not trying to replace you, I'm trying to enhance your child. I don't want anything from you. I don't want the space that you hold in this child's heart because ultimately, no matter what, children love their parents. They might be really angry. They might not understand a lot, but they love their parents. So in that regard, I'm not trying to take anything from you. I'm only trying to pour into what you created, and I respect that boundary. So I think when spiritual parents take that space and understand, I'm not going to ever be your mom, and I don't want to be, but I do want to help you become all that you're supposed to become here on this earth. That is positive and helpful.
Okay, that was well said. You messed me up. I ain't gonna lie. You messed me up. So with summer approaching, shout out to summer because it's my birthday. But what activities as a whole are we thinking about trying to put together? Because I know Dip had some stuff. I had some stuff. As a team, we're gonna be great. Just by the way, but what activities are we gonna try to implement for the summer? Because basketball is my thing. Me and Dip, so we probably do something with some type of tournament. I'll reach out to some people. But what other ideas do you guys have for the summer?
I think it's important for kids to learn service. So any way that we can get the kids involved in servicing other people, because these kids they don't know nothing about that. They so used to getting and give, like they're not used to giving. I think some way for them to implement in conjunction with what you guys want to do, get them out in the community and show them to serve because the next generation after them is gonna need that. So some way that we can implement that for them to pour into somewhere else outside of themselves, I think will be very helpful.
I, on the other hand, want to get kids like this summer out of the community, enjoying green spaces, lakes, ponds, rivers. Um, I believe that one is very, cathartic. One, two, I think an appreciation for nature kind of transfers to like an appreciation of your surroundings. So if you bring kids to green spaces and nature and they see how beautiful it is and and they're taught to appreciate it, then it's easier for them to appreciate the neighborhood they live in, the community they live in, the block they live in, in terms of keeping it clean and appreciating the things that beautify our communities. I think a kid that appreciates green spaces in nature would be less inclined to vandalize a community garden or trample a neighbor's roses and stuff like that. So I believe that those things, because it was like that for me growing up. And I think those things kind of gives you, once you're taught to appreciate it, that it gives you a pride in where you come from. If you think that you're worthy of having beauty around you, if that makes sense.
No, that's definitely.
Camping trip coming soon.
First of all, I love camping.
Cause I'm down with camping. I'm a little scared. I don't want to sleep outside though. Cause we go glamping.
No.
Yeah, why not?
Cause I need a charger. I don't want to sleep outside with the bugs. I don't want to
Listen,
see.
you could these days. You like camping is not like 30, 40, 50 years ago. You could all the amenities that you need, you can definitely have in
Yeah.
green
Oh,
spaces.
for real? They still, cause I went camping one time as a kid. It changed my life. I never went back.
For
They
real.
had me in the dark, in the woods.
They got tents with
I don't like.
AC and light in it.
Oh, they
You can,
changed because
yeah,
they
I'm
had. It
telling
was
you.
cold. Yeah, when I went, I was in the Girl Scouts. They brought me out there. I was like,
I was a leaf counselor. We had to go camping like twice a summer. You had to go without the kids, and you had to go with the kids. And when I tell you, that was one of the most surprising things that I didn't know that I always been a girly girl like my whole life. Um, but when we went camping, I was like, I embraced it. I'm like, oh, this the part because I didn't want the tent falling on me in the middle of the night. So I knew I had to do the thing right, and I had a great time. Like I looked forward to that space, whether it was with the children or without. I had learned again from the access, going outside of my community or my comfort zone. I learned that I do actually appreciate that. I think that this is cool. I think that this is nice. I would do this again. So I think that it goes hand in hand. Like you go out, you see what other things the world itself has to offer because it's big picture, and you come back to where you are and go, it's not as bad as I think, or this is more beautiful than I saw before. So I agree with that.
so I hope y'all inviting. I mean, y'all. I'm tired. I'm tired. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I hope you guys are enjoying. What's our platform called?
The courageous conversations.
Ooh, you just came up with that?
No, I heard Pastor Matthew say it.
I don't be listening sometimes. Cause I thought it was called community connections. Cause I thought
It could be.
God told me to say community connections. So
I just said courageous conversations. I don't even know if that's real.
Nah,
He said it before, right?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's one of his sayings.
Yeah, I thought so.
so the fact that we're the gap in this bridging the gaps, right? Um, how are we going to basically go to the elders that come like, all right, well, we want to do this, and they agree with us? Because now they probably feel like this, and we probably feel like this. So how are we all going to come together? You think they're gonna listen to us?
Definitely, sometimes not. Um, but that's par for the course. You have to be consistent. You have to have that type of stick to itiveness to. But when you're consistent and you have the stick to itiveness, people can see it as being, these people are serious, they're authentic, they're genuine. Because in life we come across so many people that involved with things or want to promote things for all the wrong reasons, and I think that eventually people could discern between the two, and I think that when people are able to see that your sincerity and your honesty, that it's easier for them to want to be involved. And another thing is, and once you get a little bit of momentum, people always like a winner. You got people like who like Golden State fans, right? Well, 10 years ago nobody was a Golden State fan, but when they started winning, everybody become fans. So when you get a little bit of success, people will be wanting to be involved with whatever it is you're doing.
Um, I think it's twofold because I think the role of the elders is not necessarily to listen. I think that the role of the elders is to be listened to. So, me personally, I love the elders. I'm sitting at the feet. I want to know the wisdom. I want to know the knowledge. I want to know what came before me. And I think when you have in a position to do that, they're more inclined to listen to you because you've then listened to them. Because the truth of the matter is, they live life. They know what's up. I'm coming to you for guidance. I'm coming to you for counsel. I'm coming to you for wisdom. And that is the role of the elders. They don't necessarily have to listen to us. We have to listen to them and be okay with that. Now, granted, you don't have to agree with everything that is said, but you have to be willing to respect and eat the meat and spit out the bones. Like, take what applies to you and take what you're going to move forward with, and then leave what you don't. Because just because they did live life don't mean that they did it right. So when you see like, okay, that worked for you, but that didn't work for you, I can take that wisdom and apply it for the next generation, or in myself, and do further, go better, do more.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm just gonna be completely honest because I'm very honest. If I feel like an elder is wrong, I'm not listening. And just because they're older, why do we have to listen all the time?
I think is there's a difference between listening
And respect it.
and applying.
Mm.
Let me ask you this:
Well,
how many times did you with your grandma?
mm.
How many times did your grandmother tell you something that you knew you wasn't gonna apply, but you allowed her the space to speak? You knew that she was saying what she was gonna say, and she was meaning what she was gonna mean, and you allowed the space because that was your grandmother. You love her. You listening for her sake. But you're gonna go outside and you're gonna do exactly what you wanted to do from the beginning. It's no different in that regard to someone else. It's that space of, okay, I hear you and I can eat the meat, but I'm gonna take what applies. And if I think that you're wrong, it's not for me to tell you that you're wrong. It's for me to go, well, that doesn't work for me, and I'm gonna move forward. It's just as simple as that. You don't take it for Bible, but you do take it for wisdom, because wisdom isn't always just the right thing to do. Sometimes people are gonna show you exactly what not to do, and that's okay.
I'm listening to my grandmother. Rest in peace. But I'm listening to her. I'm not listening to everybody because sometimes they don't be right because they be stuck in their ways, and I might get in trouble. Because last time I said something, the way that lady looked at me, I was scared. She was gonna get me. Is she from the hill? She was gonna get me.
So I know
The
exactly what
first,
I love
the
her.
first one we did, I was scared the way she just like that, and I was like,
I love her though. She don't take no mess, and I appreciate that in the regard, because some people just gonna be who they gonna be. We gonna be who we are gonna be. It's no different. But because she don't take no mess, people don't play with her. And granted, you don't gotta believe everything she say, but people don't play with her, and that's just what it is. Like she invited me to a meeting, and I went, and I seen her orchestrate the meeting, and I seen how she did move the meeting along, and I respected the fact that she's that way, because everybody needs something. Like I'm gonna provide something that you're not gonna provide, and you're gonna provide something that Jay isn't gonna provide. That's why we have community, right? But because of her role and her position, she can't be the person that's gonna take no mess. Because she is a leader, she's going to push this forward. She's gonna have to tell you when to be quiet and when to hold on and whatever. And that, you got to be okay with that person having that position. I'm not the power forward. I'm the center. I'm never gonna do that. Like, it is what's gonna be. I got to be in the paint. I'm the center. That's where I'm supposed to be. And I can't be mad when the power forward in. It's okay. We gonna win as a team, you know.
so the fact that we're doing a lot of community things. Do you guys have any salons or store owners in mind from the Hill section that we can go to and see if we could get some sponsorship or just ideas for the summer or just any ideas altogether?
I mean, unfortunately, there's not a lot of, you know, there is some, but it's not a lot of black business owners in the neighborhood. But there are enough, that we can collaborate with, and we can't think of it as going to you know whoever it is, whether it be small business owners, medium-sized business owners, and even if it's larger businesses. Also, we can't think of it as we going with our hand out. There's a symbiotic relationship between businesses and communities. The healthier the community is, the less crime in the community, the more successful, the more room businesses have to be successful. And so that's how we have to approach it. It's not a zero-sum game that if we're successful, these people are losing. If those people are successful, then we're losing. We call it a community for a reason. So I think that's the approach we have to have, and not just soliciting help, but looking for partnerships.
So today, that is probably going to conclude our session. Thank you everybody for coming to join us to just listen. If you have any ideas that you want to give, do you have any closing statements, any of you, to our fans or our people? But thank you again. God bless everybody. Have a great day.